Hello the internets, welcome back to Waifus. I'm Sefhi, your favorite gambling addict, and today's topic is going to be a complete build on Tiamat, including the gear, the card, team compositions, and of course the training I should be putting for her or not, right? A little bit of everything for her. As usual, before we start, leave a like and subscribe to help me grow the channel. And let's start a little bit by saying, right now is pretty harsh for new players, alright? Because you have two good banners, two great pets, and then we are getting a new waifu afterward that looks really good. So, TLDR on what this means. I would focus on Tiamat, +5, nothing else. If you can get an Anessa and her card and both pets, good, but it's really expensive. In fact, Anessa and her card are really good, so I think Tiamat at least a +3, almost mandatory to get the +5. And then Anessa and her card. And then stop. Because the pets, either you go all in or you don't go. We'll talk about Tiamat pet later though. That's it, enough ranting. Let's actually talk about Tiamat and how to properly build her. As usual, all of this is already on the website if you prefer to go there. You can just go click on any character on the tier list and just be like, oh, okay, I can build this character with these specific stats, etc, etc, etc. So that's it, enough ranting. Let's start with probably the most important part for Tiamat, and that's how her kit works and why she's so strong. This is a character that has really good self buffs. Attack 88%, ignore damage reduction 15%, crit chance 20%, and crit damage 88%. This is not enough to consider her a T0 character. A lot of characters, not only Tiamat, will actually have crit chance and crit damage as a self buff. If I come here and I got crit damage self, plenty of characters, and crit chance, even more characters, right? So that's not like enough to consider her a meta character. The thing is, her active skill is what automatically transforms her into a T0 character. Cosmic Blaster is a skill that deals 600% damage, forwards all enemies, and then if there are 3 or more targets, inflicts 10% additional damage on a 10-second cooldown. You might be thinking, okay, 10-second cooldown, is that great, this skill? Well, her ultimate will not only do damage, 1200%, pretty good modifier, but also transform your skill for 15 seconds. 15 seconds. And you will be able to spam this Cosmic Blaster without a cooldown. So she will basically destroy absolutely everything. Doesn't matter if it's AoE, multiple enemies, or even single target for the bosses, because how many times she is hitting with this skill. So this is why she is the best character in the game, okay? Because she can spam her active skill constantly, 50% uptime that she's gonna be doing this, because it's 15 seconds she's doing this, while the ultimate has a 34-second cooldown. So again, a stupid unit. This is, and we can talk about team building a little bit. This is a character that it doesn't matter where you put her, she will be your main DPS. Even if you try to build a team with something else, let's say you go Lua Ran and you even put Diane, it doesn't matter. Your Tiamat is almost gonna be doing the same damage as Lua Ran on elemental advantage. That's how good she is. So even if you build teams around anything else, Tiamat is always gonna be present on your main team. And this applies to Avalon. This applies to not only the castles, but also in here on Star Reincarnation. It does not matter what you're doing unless there is a debuff for her, of course. You will always use her regardless of the enemy type and element. It's stupid. Team composition does not matter with this character. When it comes to Anessa, on the video for tomorrow, I'll talk more in that regard about team composition and where you can put her and what characters are good with her. But for Tiamat, anything works, bro. It doesn't matter. Of course, characters like Galahad are good for her. Characters like Erin are good for her. General buffers, healers are fantastic. That's it about the skills and team composition. Let's talk a little bit about how to properly build her. What stats are good, Sefhi? Well, for the weapon, you want a mix of critical damage and attack. A mix. So a 50-50 if you can. It's really hard to get really good pieces. In my case, I'm using a goddess staff, which is giving her magic, crit chance, critical damage, and then I have 3 critical plus 1 attack. Plus, this is fully refined, so another extra 30% attack. Pretty good. Other good weapons for her you could be getting, bases, would be the Thunderclap, would be the new Tempest Scan, and even if you have a White Fan Feather, if you get good stats like a quadruple attack, it's still great for her, right? So all of those work for her really well. The only thing I would not use on her is something like Gambantane, Staff or weapons that don't have good stats, right? Because you don't really care about this cancel and this crit damage, you benefit more from the crit chance to constantly proc this. If you properly build her with crit damage, mine is not, you can get crit damage right here up to probably close to 600, 550, 600. Again, this is not fully built and is already, as you can see, 453%. So pretty good. When it comes to her armor, I would recommend going for offensive armors. The only exception, right, because this is giving her 10% attack, the only exception is bosses that do way too much damage or target the backline. I would switch to a gold armor for the extra crit resistance, damage reduction, and for the healing received, so she can survive longer. But that's like the only exception, right? Outside of that, I would still wear something like this. Even the new ones are pretty nice, also have attack 10%. When it comes to the trinkets, it changes a little bit more, but you once again want to focus on crit. In this case, crit chance. There is only two good items for this on the case of Tiamat. One is going to be the Crown of the Dead, the other would be the Green Knight's Helmet, giving a 5% attack. Is like second priority, and of course the other one giving still crit chance at 10% is the Tempest Helmet. Tempest Helmet can be used for healers because the healing, or for DPSs for the crit chance. So those are like the three items that are really good. I would not recommend using items like Transformation Scroll because again, you lose all the special stats. Instead of running, let's say, another almost 100% HP for your character to survive, you are losing that for only a 10% crit chance and nothing else because she doesn't care about this 25% HP defense or even damage reduction, right? It's better to run normal items on her. Same for these hard mode rings. Not really worth using because you lose all the special stats. And then lastly, when it comes to the rune, this is really hard because it's absolute RNG fest. You should be ignoring the hard mode runes. Again, this is for supports only. And get a rune with some good crit damage. The more, the better. At least 2 lines of crit damage if possible. 3 is preferred. 4, it's a mythical item I've never seen. And of course, refine this because it's critical damage as well. Priority for refinement, the rune and the weapon, attack and crit. And then the others too, you can wait a little bit, but I would recommend over time refining everything. That's for her gear and her build. As you can see, when it comes to stats, it's basically attack, crit damage, crit chance. Anything else is just extra, right? Which is nice. That's it. Let's talk a little bit about cards now and what type of cards are good for Tiamat. Since Tiamat is a character that is scaling based on her Cosmic Blaster, her active skill, there is only one card in the game that increases active skill damage, and that is her own card. Her own card is also mandatory you get her. This is a +5 minimum character with her card. Really fucking expensive. That's what I'm saying, like, right now is really bad for new players because the amount of banners and how good they are. But then again, no real limited characters, you can get them over time, there is no rush, there is like, you're not missing anything, right? That's it. This is her best card by far. Active skill damage increased by 50%, also crit chance and extra 60% attack. There is nothing else that will help her this much. The other cards, it doesn't matter. If you don't get this card, you can use basic ones, like for example Madness, like the Merlin card, like the Lua card, things that are basic and increase damage overall. But you should be getting her own card because that is by far the best thing you can do. Cards like for example the Merry one that increase ultimate damage are not that great for her, and this is more for characters that focus on their ultimate rather than their active skill. So I would say priority is 100% her own card, and then something like Lua or Merlin or Vivian for just the extra normal attack and crit damage that you will be getting on this one right here, right? So those 4 are pretty nice for her. All that japping on how to build her, let's actually move a little bit into the pet. I'm not gonna be telling you if you should pull or not. I think you should be saving some resources for the new banner, for sure. But her pet is a pet that is really good. The only reason to pull for a pet is if you are willing to go all in, +5. If not, I would not really bother, right? So this is a pet that is really good offensive stats, attack, additional damage, crit resistance. But the good thing about this and why it's used on endgame and bossing is because the skill, Destructive Touch. This is a defense reduction 10%, 3-second duration, 10-second cooldown. Really good for bosses because if it's 30-40 seconds, you can still proc this a few times and take advantage of the defense reduction. This is used mostly when the bosses are either resistant to crit and just want to deal more damage, or when you cannot be bringing pets to CC the boss, either fear or root or freeze them, right? You want to be bringing something like Tiamat instead. A pretty nice pet. Once again, if you are not willing to go all in, I would not bother. The Tiamat pet doesn't really pair specifically with anyone. I will say like the only situation where it's like, okay, it's really good, it's when you are fighting Tiamat herself. Because she has crit resistance. I'm not sure if this version of Tiamat has crit resistance, but when you are doing the daily raid, she has crit resistance. Okay, this version not, but the version of the daily raid right here has crit resistance 100%. So in those cases, a pet like Tiamat or pets that can deal damage over time are really strong. And honestly, that's it about how to properly build the strongest damage dealer in this game. Good luck to anyone who is pulling for her with multiple copies, and also saving resources for the next waifu. All that jumping aside, that's it for this video. We are live every single day, links in the description. Good luck with your pool, dinner rates, and see you in the next one.